night was colder than usual, and the forest carried an eerie silence, as though nature itself was holding its breath. A lone woman walked along a narrow path, her breath curling in the air like smoke against the pale light of the moon. She walked with quiet confidence, but in the stillness, danger was already waiting. From the shadows, figures began to emerge, dark silhouettes that closed in with suffocating presence. A group of men, hidden until now, stepped into her path. Rough hands shoved her backward, the bark of a tree pressing hard into her back. Ropes bit into her wrists, pulling tighter with every move she made. The forest had become a cage, but while others might tremble, her heartbeat stayed steady. This was not the end. She knew something they didn't. Deep down, she felt that help was already on the way. And if you believe in strength, loyalty, and justice, subscribe right now, because this story will leave you breathless. The gang thought they had broken her spirit. They believed the ropes had stripped her of every ounce of power. But they were blind to the truth, the hidden edge she carried. Strapped to her wrist was a smartwatch, ordinary to anyone else, but life-saving to her. As the ropes tightened, her thumb pressed down on a concealed button. One small, silent click. No noise, no warning. Just a signal that pierced through the darkness and traveled miles away. Far off, a man's phone buzzed. A message only one person in the world could receive. It wasn't just a call for help. It was a call for war. The woman closed her eyes for a moment, steadying her breathing. Fear was real, but so was faith. She knew the one man who could change everything was already moving. He was already coming. And before we continue, take a second to hit that subscribe button, because stories like this remind us what real loyalty looks like. At first, the gang didn't notice. They were too busy laughing, mocking her silence. But then the sound came, faint at first, then undeniable. The crunch of leaves. Heavy boots pressing into the forest floor. Each step was deliberate, calculated. Not the sound of someone lost or afraid, but of someone with a purpose. Someone who owned the night. From the shadows, he emerged, a figure tall and broad-shouldered, built with unshakable strength. His gear carried the scars of countless battles, patches marking him as a man forged in fire. His eyes burned with controlled fury, the kind of gaze that froze men before they even thought of speaking. Delta Force, warrior, husband, protector. The gang's laughter died in their throats. Suddenly, they weren't sure if they had trapped a victim or summoned a storm that would destroy them. What followed was chaos, but chaos shaped by mastery. The man moved like lightning, fast, precise, unstoppable. A wrist lock shattered bone before a scream could escape. A single strike dropped another to the ground. Every move was brutal, yet exact, the kind of skill sharpened through years of combat. The woman, still tied to the tree, watched with unshaken eyes. She knew this man. He was not just her husband. He was a warrior born for moments like this. The gang leader tried to rally his men, shouting for them to attack, but fear had already poisoned their courage. Their weapons trembled in their hands. Against one man, they had no chance. The forest that had once been their hiding place was now their prison. The night itself had turned against them. Period. Desperation clawed at the gang leader. With shaking hands, he pulled a gun from his waistband, clinging to the illusion of power. But before he could raise it, the world exploded. A flashbang detonated, drowning the woods in blinding light and deafening sound. When the haze cleared, half his men lay unconscious on the ground, writhing in agony. The husband stood tall in the chaos, steady as stone, the predator who had always been in control. He knelt by his wife, freeing her wrists with a calmness that cut through the madness. Then, without hesitation, he grabbed the same ropes and turned them against the gang leader. Moments ago, the man had mocked her helplessness. Now, he was the one bound to the tree, thrashing and screaming, a prisoner of his own cruelty. The balance of power had shifted completely. Justice had only begun to speak. The sound of sirens broke the night. Red and blue lights flickered through the trees, casting their glow on the battered gang. Officers poured into the clearing, rounding up the defeated men. The gang leader remained tied to the tree, humiliated, broken, and powerless. His screams echoed uselessly, swallowed by the forest. But for the couple, the world had already moved on. The husband pulled his wife close. Their foreheads pressed together in a silent vow stronger than words. She leaned into him, not in fear, but in pride. Once again, he had promised protection, and once again, he had delivered. Their love was not fragile. It was forged in loyalty, sacrifice, and unbreakable strength. Together they walked out of the darkness, hand in hand, untouched by fear, unbroken by cruelty, and stronger than ever before. And if you felt the power of this story, don't forget to subscribe, because stories like these remind us love isn't just words, it's action, sacrifice, and the strength to face the darkest nights. Together they walked out of the darkness hand in hand, untouched by fear, unbroken by cruelty, and stronger than ever before. If this story moved you, hit subscribe and let us know. Which country are you watching from?